Okay, calibrating the machine. F5, which is the menu button, hold it down for 5 seconds. To go to the back side, arrow down to calibration, enter, and it's going to start out with naming the machine. So I've already got a machine in here. I'm going to go up here to machine number 3 for this, and I don't see any, so it doesn't have a name yet. I'll go down, hit enter, and it'll say new name. There's nothing there, so just touch it with your finger. It'll give you keyboard. So we'll call this a 160 BL Blade Runner. How's that? Hold down the enter key till it changes. You're good. And you're going to right arrow then to your first machine. I'm sorry, boom 1 or 2. Obviously, it's a 2 boom machine. In Europe, they have a lot of 3 boom machines. Or if you put an extend a boom on. Okay, calibrating boom 1. First thing is what side your sensor on. Get it enter and switch to the right side or left side. So it's what side is it facing? Is it facing the cab side? It's left, facing the right. So you mount on the right, left side of the boom. It's probably facing left unless you flipped it over. So next thing is the length. So the length from the pin on the 2 pins on the main boom. So you measure the distance between them. And let's say it's 18 foot, 9 inches, so 0.9. And 55 hundredths. So that's just barely over ½ inch. Let's say it just looked like it was a little more than ½ inch. So I put 55 instead of 0.50, which is ½ inch. Enter, it's in there. Then angle 0, 0. We preset to 0, 0 for a reason. You'll move your boom down to the 0 angle, which is dead level between the 2 pins. Pull a string line, good laser or something, measure it perfectly. Once you get it perfect, just hit the enter button, and it is now put in and done. Right arrow for boom 2. Same thing, sensors left side on this one, usually they are. We're going to input our length. Let's say it's 25 foot, 0.6 inches, 0 hundredths, which I'm sure that's not it, but we're putting in for fun. And it's that angle you're going to set as -90, because you're going to put the dipper straight up and down. From the top pin to the bottom pin, when you get it to 90 or plumb, from the rotating pin on the bucket or coupler to the top pin between boom 1 and boom 2, or main boom and dipper. When it's absolutely perfect, you hit enter. And it's done, and we go to the next page. So bucket, it's going to ask us to name it. Let's say it's bucket number 5. We'll just keep it there. We know to switch that. No name, hit enter, touch on it, and we'll call it B. And I like to do inches in America. Let's say it's a 5-foot bucket, so 60 inches. And you can put 2 clicks like that for inches. That's good. Hold down the enter button, and you're good. So right arrow. Is your sensor on the dog bone? Is it on the bucket? We like it on the bucket most. Or is it on the grabber? That means no bucket on there. So right arrow, and you're going to put in. So my sensor is on the right side of this one. So I could switch it like that because it's on the left side of the coupler facing right on the inside. Either way, doesn't matter. Length, this is from the rotating pin on the dipper that goes to the bucket or coupler down to your cutting edge of your teeth. Measure it very square. A lot of them are like 5 foot, 55 hundredths, whatever. Okay, just simple numbers put in. Put the bucket plumb as in 90 degrees from the center rotating pin down to the teeth. It's good to use a level or a board, center a pin to cutting edge, straight up and down. Once you get it perfectly plumb or 90 degrees down, hit enter. You can also put inches in. So this now is the width of your bucket. So we got I said 60 inch. You can put inches instead of feet in inches if you want. It'll convert up to 99 inches to feet for you. And so see, it says 5 foot. And then once I get the bucket level, I'll put a level in the bucket. And once I get dead level, I will hit enter for 0, because 0 is always level. And then I'm going to set the bucket flat on the ground. And once I get it flat on the ground, I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to put in that corrected angle. Then we're going to right arrow to the next thing. If you have a tilt bucket, tilt rotator, whatever it is, we've got to do the length. The length is, it's a funny measurement. From the center of the front of the rotating pin to the cutting edge. So the pin's coming in straight like this, the very front of the pin down to the cutting edge. You should see a picture. So let's say that's 4 foot. or let's say it's 46 inches. And 0, 0 for inches, click, and it puts it in there. Then we're going to go 90. It's supposed to say -9, it says 900. Hit enter, and we're going to take a level and put on the front face of that pin down to the cutting edge and tilt it till it's perfectly plumb. Hit enter, and we got it. So also, the next page on that is the angle of the pivot pin. So that's the pin that tilts left and right on, and you're going to get it perfectly level. Once you get it perfectly level, that'll be 0, and hit enter, and you've put in your tilting bucket. This page here is for special things. If we have a problem, we can do some averages on. So there's some weird stuff out there. So next is chassis calibration, digging chassis. Normally we put it on the window, so it'd be facing right. Normally I like them on the cab window. It's a nice spot for it, but it could be facing left. Depends which way it is facing. Horizontal. Horizontal is the measurement from the pin back to the center of turntable. Most machines it's 2 to 6 inches. So if you got more than that, don't go to the spin motor, go to the hoses come up through the middle of the turntable. That's the center. So you put that in, obviously, just like we had. I can put the numbers in this time. Go to the next one, vertical to the ground. So if you're from the pin, the chassis, or the main boom pin to the ground, let's say it's 5 feet. And then the next one is the center of the boom. So your boom is not always in the center. 99% of them are to the right a little bit if you're sitting in the cab, or left as you're facing it. So you'll measure from the outside of the turntable, the closest point to you, a lot of times degrees are on it, over to the center between the two cylinders, or in the center of the single cylinder, but center of the boom, and you put that in, usually around 6 inches on most machines. Then we will take the machine and we'll line it up with the tracks, hit enter, nice and stiff, get everything to stop, and then jump down and rotate 180 degrees so you're opposite, line up with the tracks again, so you get nice and stable, hit enter again, that'll change all your numbers, kind of look like that. You're done with the chassis sensor. Okay, we're arrowed over now to the laser. Left side, we normally always put it on the left side so the operator can see it, doesn't knock it off on a tree. Usually it's on the second boom, that's the dipper. Third boom if you're doing 3. Or you can put it on the main boom, whatever you want to do, whatever you're safe with. Horizontal turntable. Got the wrong words in there, but horizontal measurement. Vertical to the ground. Got those mixed up. We'll get those fixed on the next software. Anyways, horizontal measurement is from the pin closest to the cab that the laser's mounted on. So that would be the one from your main boom to your dipper, or your crowd, or whatever you want to call it, your stick, and measure to the center of laser eye. Now, a trick is when you weld your laser on, is to weld it on dead in line with the top and bottom pin on the dipper, or whatever it's on. That way you don't have to put anything for vertical measurement, 0, and you can measure straight to it. So if that doesn't make sense, basically measure horizontally, take a string or laser, stretch it from pin to pin, top pin to bottom pin, and measure down that string till you're perpendicular, you're square with the center of the laser eye. Or put a square up, piece of cardboard works, whatever, put in that distance. The second distance is from that string line you're stretching up to the laser eye, to the center of it. So it might be 2 inches, might be 6 inches, small, usually a pretty small number, unless it's on the main boom. And then the last one is how wide is the boom, the dipper. Put that in there, and you got it handled. And come back and go down to save. And I'm going to save it, hit save, and it'll take you back to the home screen, and you got her done. Okay, if you're going to do dog bone, highlight that, right arrow, and you put in your segment 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can always hit the F1 to see. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 segments. F1 is always your help. You get pictures. Then you go down to your angle here. Angle 1, which is angle 1, which you can look on here if you took the help. That's this top one, your dog bone. And you can put it in, and that's right there. You hit enter on that, and then you go down to your segment 2, which segment 2 is these two. There's your dipper coming down It's these two pins, get it perfectly plumb, vertical, and you enter on that. So now you've completed it. Make sure you go right arrow till you see save and save it. It'll take you to the home screen.